Yo, today it is about 3:30 a.m. on the 25th of December. Merry Christmas, everyone. Now, let's just pretend again that today is the 24th and that it is still Christmas evening, and instead of me sitting in front of the fireplace reading the 10th Sword Art Online light novel, I was here recording this video. Now, on this 11th day of anime, what I want to talk about is, haha, I spoiled already, the Sword Art Online light novels. And be prepared, this is going to be a long one. So, just to start out with, if you have not watched the anime, yeah, do it. Watch the anime. Watch it. I will spoil stuff from the anime. I will not spoil stuff about the light novels. I will discuss them. I will discuss themes, characters, but like if it only has the slightest connection to the story, I will not talk about it. Now, let's just first get an idea of where I am. I just finished the 10th light novel, and how Sword Art Online is organized is the first two are the Sword Art Online light novels that actually take place in Sword Art Online. Light novel 3, light novel 4 are Elfheim Online. Light novel 5 and 6 are Gun Gil Online. 7 is Mother's Rosario. And 8th is Epic Quests. And 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th are Underworld. So yeah, I finished the 10th. I still have to read 11th and 12th, and the 13th light novel at this point in time still has to be translated. So let's start this off by talking about Sword Art Online and Elfheim Online. Basically, the first four they're basically the first four light novels, which were turned into an anime. So yeah, let's talk about the anime basically. So I watched the anime back in 2012, end of 2012, and I had the same problems that most people had. I still think I enjoyed it way more than I should have, but as a someone who studies artificial intelligence, I love the whole setting of this death game in a futuristic world where virtual reality gaming just started to be a thing. And I really love that setting, and it has just so much potential. And in the anime, I watched it and I was like, yeah, they blew it. Yeah, like everyone else, I'd say the big problems with it are, the biggest, his little sister slash cousin turning into a love interest in the second part, in the Elfheim part. The world building is a lot worse in the second part, the Elfheim part. Kirito, yeah, I'm still okay. I'm still on the edge on this one. Kirito being overpowered. I mean, he is overpowered, but he was a beta tester, so he had the information to actually get this lead when starting Sword Art Online, and well, he was a virtual reality swordsman for 2 years, so that does kind of give you some expertise on being a virtual reality swordsman. So of course you're gonna have an edge in Elfheim Online, even against people who are supposed to be the best there. And I guess the story wouldn't be as interesting if we had, let's say, a normal character. But he's still overpowered as shit. And then of course, yeah, there's everything that has a pair of boobs and can walk is in love with him. Yeah. Now, like I said, I thought the setting had so much potential and it blew it just because of those points. And I did want to find out whose fault is it? Whose fault is it? This is why I started reading the light novels. I wanted to see, is this just the anime adaptation being shit, or is this just a bad story in the light novels? And what I found out is the anime adaptation is perfect. You don't hear that very often. The anime adaptation was perfect. After reading those first four light novels, every scene they give the right amount of attention to, and they really tell the entire story in the light novels. Which sadly means basically the problem of Sword Art Online, in my opinion, was in those light novels. So let's just say, yeah, the first light novel is basically the epic story of Aincrad. So basically, it starts on the first floor and ends on the 75th, where he defeats Kayaba, the evil dude. And it has the epic story from 1 to 10, and it has the love story between him and Asuna, the, in my opinion, still perfect teenage love story. Then the second Aincrad novel is all side stories. It is like the story with Lisbeth, story of Slicia, the story with Sachi. Those are all, those are all side stories that were in the second light novel. And then you had the story of Alfheim, basically starting with the first Alfheim novel and ending with the second Alfheim novel. And those were meh as well. So, in the end, of those four, only the first one was, I would consider, a good light novel. Now, after reading those, I still had the feeling, you blew it, but the setting is interesting. You could have done so much more if you had done something like the first light novel. It would all be great. So then I started reading Gun Gale Online, and to my surprise, it was a solid story. There is still nothing bad I can say about Gun Gale Online. After reading Gun Gale Online, I had this feeling, okay, he created a good light novel with the first Sword Art Online light novel, and people loved him for it. He did not know what to do with it afterwards, so he created the second one with side stories, which, well, yeah, if you like the first one, then side stories are still something you're interested in. After that, he still didn't know what to do, and he did Alfheim, which is basically continuing on the love story and introducing some pretty shit elements. And then Gun Gale Online is him actually moving on. It is him actually saying, okay, Sword Art Online is something I did, it is something I've done, it is something completed. Now let's take these characters and start an entirely new story. And of course, he is still a bit overpowered. The sister love interest is gone. World building in Gun Gale Online is, in the light novels, surprisingly good. And I have a girl falls for him. Now this is interesting. Because in Gun Gale Online there's one main female, Shino. If you have followed me on Tumblr or anything, you know I fucking love Shino. Now, what sets her apart from all the other love interests is it has always been they meet, girl falls in love with Kirito, and then they kind of tell something about her. They talk about the situation, backstory, etc, etc, etc. Talk about how they live. I don't know. Shino was interesting, as in the novel started out with Kirito, and then like there's the mention of Gun Gale Online, and then the story continues with a seemingly random girl called Shino playing Gun Gale Online. And you as a reader get introduced to her. You get introduced to the virtual reality gamer Shino. You get used to her daily life. You get used to her fears and strengths. You get to know why she plays Gun Gale Online. You get to know her entire backstory, which holy shit, her backstory. And then at that point I was already in love with Shino, and then she met Kirito. At this point you already have an entirely established character, and she finally meets Kirito. And then yes, there is going to be some sort of sexual tension. Not too much if you compare it to his sister, maybe. But just because she was so well introduced before, I just felt it was done so much better. And with Gun Gale Online, the writer kind of introduced the whole theme he was going for, or he is still going for, in these light novels. The theme being the difference between the real life and virtual worlds. And he explores that through other themes, like Sword Art Online, Elfheim Online. They were both like, their theme was love, and but it and yeah, you caught that as the main theme. However, the underlying theme, which is actually running through all light novels, is a virtual love still real? And the answer sort of is yes. And he's sort of exploring that. In Gun Gale Online, he steps away from the love part, which, although not a lot, although it does not a lot of dark stuff happens, just because he steps away from the love part, it makes the light novel a lot darker, in my opinion. The theme he talks about in Gun Gale Online is more of traumas, fears. Are your traumas and fears in the real world? Can you avoid those in the virtual world? Can you overcome those fears in the virtual world? And that's basically what Gun Gale Online is about. And it ends. Gun Gale Online ends with introducing a new interesting theme, which is, what if the virtual world is your only world, is the only world to a person? And, well, yeah, you're basically a nerd if the virtual world is the only world for you. That is sort of what he leaves us with, and that is sort of what today we view as reality. I mean, if your entire life is on the internet, you're still gonna get looked down upon by society. And then comes Mother's Rosario, the 7th light novel. They kind of continue on that theme of what if the virtual world is the only world for you. And they totally switched my opinion in that one. And, well, Mother's Rosario is very difficult to talk about because the story for me was wow. The first Sword Art Online light novel is a good story. Gun Gale Online is like a really solid story. Mother's Rosario is something that touched me way too deep. And like I talked about in the Danganronpa video, I am someone who likes to theorize a lot, and in Mother's Rosario, some questions get raised about some characters, and when it came to the point of, okay, they're probably gonna explain what's with them right now, I I basically put down my phone, which I was reading it on in the train. I basically sat there for an hour thinking, now what could it be? And with all the facts in front of me, even my most extreme theory, I could for sure say, no, that is bullshit because it does not compute with X, Y, or Z. For Mother's Rosario, I could not make up a theory, and that has never happened to me before. And then suddenly they start to explain it. I read on for a couple of pages, and they start explaining it. And then in the train, I had to put down my phone again, knowing I was not gonna pick that thing back up for the rest of the train ride because it would crush my heart. That night, I read it and finished it, and it did crush my heart big time. Ow. Something that's also really interesting about Mother's Rosario, it is told from Asuna's perspective. Kirito does not feature very prominently at all. He's he still manages to be overpowered and know everything, but he does not feature in Mother's Rosario at all. Now, after Mother's Rosario comes Epic Quests. And, well, Epic Quests, basically the first half of it is already in the Sword Art Online anime. It is, again, a side story of Sword Art Online with the killing in the safe zone. Don't know if you can remember that. And the second part is basically them getting an epic sword in Elfheim Online. And well, yeah, they were nice. They were nice stories, but there wasn't too much about them. It is the part about them getting an epic sword in Elfheim. It does get mentioned in the later novels, but like I would almost say skip that. And then comes Underworld. Underworld is very, very special. Like I said, right now 5 novels of Underworld are out. I've read 2 of them, and the feeling it has so far strongly given me the feeling everything that has happened before. Sword Art Online, Elfheim Online, Gun Gale Online, Mother's Rosario, that has all been an introduction to Underworld. It feels like Underworld was the story he wanted to make in the beginning, but it's sort of far-fetched. It is really far-fetched. And when I say far-fetched, I mean the technology and the emotional bonds. Like, actually, yeah, just basically him crushing the barrier between virtual and real life. Like, those 2 aspects are kind of needed for Underworld, and they are reached through the other novels. And Underworld. So it has a lot of the Sword Art it has a lot that I loved about Sword Art Online back into it. Just the epic sword fighting and amazing world building. Holy shit! And then it also has this sort of controversial political aspect of what happens if technology runs wild. And oh my, yeah, wow, I'm really enjoying it right now and really love to see it finished. So in the end, with right now, the Sword Art Online specials coming out soon, which are basically gonna be a retelling of what happened in the anime before, and with there being a lot of rumors around about a season 2, but just yeah, it also not having the support it yeah, it wants, just because the first season, yes, it was overhyped, a lot of people loved it, a lot of people watched it, but in the end, um the overall mark for it was not as high. I, as someone who's read the light novels, I'm gonna say to you, please support it. If the anime adaptation is as perfect as it was in Sword Art Online and Elfheim Online, but now with a story that is actually really good, it is definitely gonna be the anime of the season if it comes out. And people will definitely lose their shit, hearts, and minds over Mother's Rosario. And a lot of people talk shit about Sword Art Online, and I just want to tell you, please give it another try, give it another chance, because it's gonna be good, guys. It's gonna be good. Now, again, I wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas. I knew this video was gonna take long, and 22 minutes, shits, that is quite long. But yeah, a very, very Merry Christmas, and I'll see you tomorrow. And I can promise you tomorrow's video is not gonna be as long, okay? Don't you worry, child. Good night.